Have you ever wondered why your life has felt like a battlefield, even when nothing around you seemed to explain the constant struggle? Why you felt pressure, pain, or resistance, even when you were doing everything right? Why you've always felt different from everyone around you, like you are carrying something invisible but heavy? If you've asked yourself these questions, if you've ever felt like you were being watched, attacked, or misunderstood for no reason, then this message is for you. And it's not just any message. It's a divine reminder sent at the perfect time, meant to reach you now, because your soul is finally ready to hear what it's always known deep down, but could never quite put into words. This is not a coincidence. This moment, this message, this voice finding its way to your ears and your heart, it was guided by something higher, something greater, something sacred. You didn't stumble on this by chance. You were brought here because you're ready, because something in you is waking up, because the questions you've been asking in silence are about to be answered. This message has traveled through the quiet places, through the unseen realms, through all the noise of the world, to whisper something to you that your soul has been needing to remember. You were not forgotten. You were never overlooked. You were chosen. There are people who live their whole lives never realizing the weight of their own existence. They blend in. They go through the motions. They play it safe. But you were never like them. Even if you tried to be. Even if you forced yourself to laugh, to fit in, to follow the crowd, something inside you never let you forget that you were different. You didn't always know why. You didn't always understand what made you feel out of place. But deep down, there was always a voice, a small voice saying, "You don't belong here. There's something more for you. You were made for more than this." That voice didn't come from pride. It came from purpose. You were born different. You were marked before you were even born. Marked not by people, not by titles, not by anything in this world, but by the divine. You were chosen by God. And the moment you entered this world, the unseen realm noticed. The spiritual world stirred. Heaven and hell both became aware of your presence, not because of what you did, but because of who you are. Your soul carried something powerful, something ancient, something that would not only change your life, but touch the lives of many others. You didn't know it then, but your very existence triggered a war in the spirit realm. From the beginning, it's felt like you were born into conflict. You've experienced pain that didn't match your actions. You've been misunderstood, attacked, rejected, and isolated, sometimes by the people you loved the most. And it hurt. You couldn't explain it. No one around you seemed to understand. But now you do. You were born into a battlefield. You didn't become a target out of nowhere. You were targeted because of the light you carry. You were marked before you even knew how to speak. You didn't ask for it. You didn't earn it. You were simply born with it. You were always set apart. Even when you were surrounded by people, a part of you felt like you didn't truly belong. You didn't understand why certain places drained your spirit, why small talk felt so empty, why you couldn't tolerate lies or shallow living, why pretending felt unbearable. You tried to be normal, but your soul resisted. You tried to settle, but your spirit would not let you, because you weren't made for the ordinary. You were made to carry something sacred, something real, something pure. Your spirit was designed to disturb darkness, to shake what was false, to carry the weight of divine light into places that had been dark for far too long. As a child, you saw things you couldn't explain. You had dreams that felt like warnings. You sensed people's true intentions before they even spoke. You felt everything deeply: joy, pain, fear, love. You had a knowing inside you that no one taught you. And for a long time, you thought it made you strange. But it didn't. It made you chosen. You weren't imagining those things. That was your gift trying to speak before the world told you to silence it. Before the world told you to hide it. Before life made you doubt yourself. But that gift is still there. It has always been there. Waiting, breathing, growing stronger with every battle you survived. And yes, you've been through battles. Deep, painful, invisible battles. You've cried behind closed doors. You've been attacked when you were already at your lowest. You've experienced loss that felt unfair. You've felt betrayal by people you would have protected. You've been left out, left behind, talked about, misunderstood. And through it all, you kept asking, why? Why is it so hard? Why do I feel so alone? Why do people turn on me for no reason? Why does it feel like I'm constantly under pressure, even when I'm trying to do right? But now, you understand. The pressure was never a punishment. It was preparation. The attacks weren't about your past. They were about your future. The enemy wasn't reacting to what you were doing. He was trying to stop who you were becoming. He saw the power in you before you did. He saw the fire in your voice, the healing in your hands, the truth in your presence. He saw the strength that would rise from your wounds, and he tried to shut it down before it could awaken. That's why you were hit so hard, so early. But what the enemy didn't know is that you were built for this. You were born for this. You were sent here with divine orders, with an assignment, a mission that reaches beyond time and space. And that mission shakes both kingdoms. Heaven is cheering for you, and hell is trembling. Because when you walk in your truth, chains break. When you speak your truth, strongholds fall. When you heal, others start to heal. Your obedience causes a ripple effect that the spirit world cannot ignore. Your healing is not just for you. It's for your bloodline. Your choices are shifting things that have been stuck for generations. Every time you say yes to growth, to love, to purpose, you are waking up everything around you. You may have thought you were just trying to survive, to pay bills, to figure things out. But in the spirit realm, you are leading a movement. You are spiritual government in motion. Your very presence changes atmospheres. That's why you face so much resistance. That's why confusion has followed you. That's why doors slam shut just when you were getting close. Because every time you get closer to your purpose, hell panics. But you kept going. You didn't quit. You may have felt like giving up. You may have collapsed from exhaustion. You may have cried through the night, but you got up again and again, even with wounds, even with questions, even in silence. And that persistence is the proof that you are chosen, because the enemy tried everything, and it still didn't stop you. What you've carried in secret is about to be revealed in the light. The fire you've protected, the calling you've doubted, the dreams you've buried, they're all rising now. The enemy tried to bury you in fear, in shame, in lies. But your truth is rising. Your identity is rising. And the world is about to see what heaven has always seen in you. And all those times you felt protected when you didn't know how, that wasn't luck. That wasn't coincidence. That was your angels. You've been guided through storms you didn't even see coming. You've been pulled away from disasters that were forming behind your back. You've been spared from things that would have broken you. And even when you didn't recognize it, you were being covered, surrounded, loved. Even now, you are not alone. Even now, you are being watched over. Even now, you are being prepared for the next part of your journey. And this next part is different. This next part is where everything you've been through begins to make sense, where the pain finds purpose, where the silence becomes power, where the waiting turns into walking. And every step you take now is sacred, because now you remember. Now you understand. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out. You were never meant to live quietly. You were meant to lead boldly. You were never meant to survive in silence. You were meant to rise in purpose. You were chosen. You are rising, and nothing will ever be the same again. Long before you knew who you were or what you were meant to do, heaven already knew. Your purpose was spoken into existence before you were even born. And the moment it was, angels were sent to your life. You didn't have to ask. They were assigned to you from the beginning. They came to walk beside you, fight for you, protect you, guide you, and stay with you through everything. You were never alone. Even when you felt abandoned, rejected, or isolated, heaven never stopped watching over you. People may have turned their backs, but heaven never did. Even in your darkest moments, you were seen and surrounded. Some of the hardest things you faced weren't just physical struggles. They were spiritual battles happening in places you couldn't see. While you were crying, sleeping, or trying to make sense of the pain, angels were already at work, fighting for your future. There were so many things you never even knew were stopped before they could reach you. Accidents, betrayals, traps, and losses that never touched you, not because they weren't real, but because angels blocked them. You had days where your strength didn't make sense, nights where you had no words to pray, but still woke up with peace. People came into your life at the perfect time. Doors opened that should have stayed shut. And now you know that was divine help. Angels don't just protect. They carry purpose. They respond to your alignment. The more you walk in truth, the more they surround you. When you say yes to what God placed inside you, their presence becomes undeniable. You begin to feel strength returning. Clarity sharpens. Peace grows. Opportunities appear. That's not coincidence. That's heaven moving with you. Some angels come as strangers or friends with the right words at the right time. Others work behind the scenes, battling darkness that wants to slow you down. You've been rescued from more than you realize, not because you're lucky, but because you are chosen. And when life gets harder, it's not a sign of abandonment. It's a sign that heaven is increasing your protection. You've entered a season where spiritual maturity is needed. You're not just surviving anymore. You're stepping into power. You're walking with purpose. And angels are here not just to keep you safe, but to help you rise. Trust the gentle nudges. Follow the peace. That quiet voice in your spirit. It's real. It's heaven confirming your steps. You are not alone and never have been. At the same time, the enemy knows who you are too. This isn't to scare you. It's to awaken you. The devil knows your name, not because you're perfect, but because you're dangerous to darkness. What you carry disrupts everything he's tried to build. That's why your identity was attacked so early. That's why you were surrounded by rejection, betrayal, and fear. He hoped you'd give up before you found your strength. But you didn't. You rose through pain. You kept going through heartbreak. You kept loving even when you felt unloved. You kept walking even when the path was unclear. And now, you're waking up. You're stepping into your purpose. That's why the attacks are intensifying. Not because you're off track, but because you're finally on the right one. You've stopped begging for love from people who can't see you. You've stopped shrinking. You've remembered you're already chosen. That makes you a threat. The enemy doesn't waste energy on people who are asleep. He targets those who are rising. He fears your voice, your discipline, your prayers, and your obedience. Because one awakened soul can undo what generations accepted as normal. You were born to break cycles, to carry light, to speak truth. And now that you're doing it, the enemy is afraid. But it's too late. You've already started walking in truth. You've always felt like you didn't quite belong. Too spiritual for some, too deep for others. That's because you weren't meant to fit in. You were meant to stand between what was and what can be. You are the one heaven chose to interrupt the patterns in your family, to heal what others buried, and to open a new path forward. That's why the pressure has felt so heavy. You're not just carrying your own healing. You're carrying healing for others too. You are the bridge between realms. Through you, light flows into dark places. Through you, truth touches those who forgot how to feel it. Your choices, your words, your presence, they all carry weight. That quiet feeling that told you you were different wasn't pride. It was your spirit remembering its mission. You are not just here to survive. You are here to restore. Every time you walk in love, truth, and obedience, heaven flows more freely through your life. The bridge grows stronger. Your legacy grows deeper. You are not meant to play small. You are meant to carry what others couldn't. If you've ever doubted your worth, just look at how hard life tried to break you. Heaven and hell don't battle over something meaningless. The intensity of your war confirms the importance of your purpose. You were attacked, not because you failed, but because you carry something sacred. The betrayals, losses, delays, They all tried to crush you before you remembered who you were. But you made it. You're still here. Still healing. Still rising. You've earned your crown through pain, through quiet courage, and through surrender. And now it's time to wear it. You are chosen, not because you were the loudest or the best, but because you were willing to trust, willing to keep going when no one clapped, willing to walk in the dark until the light returned. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. The battle over your life is proof that your story matters. Your light is powerful, and your future is unstoppable. And now that you know who you are, nothing will ever be the same again.
Have you ever walked into a room and felt every pair of eyes shift toward you, even though you didn't say a word? Have you noticed people seem drawn to you, curious, attentive, even unsettled, without knowing why? It's not in what you wear or how you speak. It's something else, something deeper, something they can feel, even if they can't explain it. You might be starting to notice it too. Your presence is different now. Conversations last longer. Strangers smile for no reason. Acquaintances begin to treat you with a quiet respect, almost like they're sensing a version of you that didn't exist before. You haven't just changed. You've awakened something. And that awakening is changing everything. What's rising within you is more than confidence or charisma. It's energy. Pure, raw, powerful energy. And it's not coming from the outside. It's coming from deep inside your core, something ancient, something creative, something magnetic. It's often misunderstood because most people only associate it with attraction or desire. But in truth, it's life force, the same energy that fuels creativity, passion, vision, leadership, and strength. Most people never access it fully. It lies dormant in them, buried under distraction, fear, or self-doubt. But for you, it's starting to rise. And when that happens, the world begins to respond to you differently. You start to notice patterns. People don't just hear your words, they feel your presence. You don't have to try to be noticed. You just are. Your stillness speaks louder than noise. Your silence makes others lean in. You begin to understand that energy doesn't lie, that you can say everything without saying anything at all. Women especially begin to sense it before they know what's happening. There's something about you that pulls them in. Your eyes, your calmness, your grounded presence. It's not forced. It's not performance. It's real. And that's what makes it so powerful. But this energy comes with responsibility, because not everyone who's drawn to you understands why. Some people will crave your presence without respecting it. They'll want to be near you not because they love who you are, but because your energy makes them feel something they can't create on their own. They won't always know how to care for what you offer. They'll try to possess it, to own it, to consume it. And when you start to see this, everything changes. You realize that being magnetic isn't just a gift, it's a burden. It's not about enjoying attention. It's about managing it wisely. You begin to pull back, not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting something valuable. You become more careful with your time, your words, your energy. You stop entertaining every conversation. You stop saying yes to everything. You don't let just anyone near your energy anymore. Not because you think you're better, but because you know what it costs to give your presence to people who only want to take. That's when discipline becomes your new foundation. You stop acting on every urge. You stop chasing validation. You begin to ask harder questions before making choices. Is this moment worth it? Is this connection helping me grow? Is this desire leading me toward my purpose or pulling me away from it? You start choosing peace over pleasure, fulfillment over impulse, direction over distraction. This kind of self-control doesn't come from fear. It comes from wisdom. It comes from understanding that your energy is sacred, not disposable. That what you give your time and body to either builds you or breaks you. You start seeing your energy not as something to burn, but something to store and focus. You begin redirecting it into your goals, your growth, your vision. And slowly, you feel yourself rising, not just in the eyes of others, but within yourself. Everything about you begins to shift. You move with purpose. You speak with intention. You listen with focus. You stop trying to impress people, and they become even more impressed. Not because you're doing more, but because you've become more. You're not led by your emotions. You use them as tools. You're not chasing attention. You're attracting respect. You're not scattered. You're aligned. And people can feel that. They may not understand it, but they respond to it instinctively. And then comes another shift. You stop asking, "What can I get from this?" and start asking, "What am I leaving behind in people's hearts?" You become more intentional in every interaction. You start asking, "Am I uplifting this person? Am I honoring their energy like I protect mine?" You stop playing with people's emotions. You stop giving half of yourself to temporary situations. You want real. You want deep. You want connection with meaning. And you offer the same in return. People around you begin to notice that you're different. Not just attractive, but grounding. Not just interesting, but steady. You give people room to be themselves. You make them feel seen without needing to be the center of attention. You don't dominate the space with ego. You fill it with calm. That calm becomes contagious. That presence becomes unforgettable. This energy doesn't attract everyone. It doesn't need to. It repels those who aren't ready for it. It confuses those who want the surface, but not the substance. But it calls in the ones who are ready. The ones who want more than a spark. The ones who want something that can last. Because you're no longer trying to impress, you're trying to impact. You're no longer seeking control. You're becoming the example. You're no longer trying to be needed. You're becoming complete. This transformation is quiet but powerful. You walk with clarity. You no longer act out of fear of missing out. You know what you bring. You know what you carry. And that awareness changes how you move, how you speak, how you choose. You're no longer just a man with potential. You're a man with direction. You don't just have energy. You've learned how to wield it. You don't just draw people in. You know how to keep the right ones and let the wrong ones go. And you're no longer here to be consumed. You're here to create, to lead, to influence, to elevate. And the more you protect your energy, the stronger it becomes. The more you say no to the things that drain you, the more room you make for the things that grow you. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer chase, you attract with purpose. You no longer need to be loud. Your silence speaks volumes. You've reached a point where your presence is more powerful than your words. Your calm is more impressive than any performance. Your restraint is stronger than any chase. And your energy? It's no longer just attractive. It's undeniable. And it's only getting stronger. When you carry good, grounded energy, you do more than just help yourself. You lift up everyone around you. Your presence makes people feel seen, valued, and energized. They leave interactions with you feeling lighter, more hopeful, and more confident. That energy spreads. It reaches beyond the moment. The way you treat people inspires them to treat others better too. And slowly, without even realizing it, you start a chain reaction that quietly improves lives. To create this kind of impact consistently, you begin to understand how important it is to manage your energy wisely. Life isn't just about always giving or always holding back. It's about balance. You realize you can't give everything you have to others and leave nothing for yourself. But you also don't want to shut down or become distant. So you learn when to step forward and when to step back. You rest when you need to. You give when you feel full. And most importantly, you stop apologizing for protecting your peace. You start setting healthy boundaries, not to keep people out, but to stay strong and present in the moments that matter. You stop trying to prove your worth. You stop burning out to be liked. You give your attention and care without losing yourself. You start showing up not because you have to, but because you want to. And that shift in intention makes your presence even more powerful. You take better care of your body and your mind. You move more. You eat better. You get the sleep you need. You practice things that help you feel connected to yourself, like quiet walks, deep breathing, or journaling. These things seem small, but they help you stay calm, clear, and focused. The healthier you feel on the inside, the more your energy radiates naturally. You don't have to try so hard. People just feel it. As more people are drawn to you, you begin to lead, not through control, but through example. You become someone others look to because you make them feel safe and respected. And even though attention comes your way, you stay humble. You remember what it feels like to struggle. You've been through pain. You've faced failure. That's why you don't judge others. You respond with compassion, not ego. You see the human behind the behavior. This compassion changes your relationships. You listen more. You support others without needing to fix them. People feel like they can be themselves around you. And this builds deep trust. Your kindness becomes your strength. And because of it, the people around you begin to change too. They become more patient, more caring. Your energy continues to ripple through them. Over time, your focus shifts to doing things with clear and honest intentions. You stop acting to impress. You start acting to help. You give without needing recognition. You help others simply because it feels right. And people sense that. They trust you more because your actions are clean, sincere, and real. You begin to guide others, not because you think you're better than them, but because you've walked the path and want to share what you've learned. You tell the truth. You don't pretend to be perfect. And that's exactly why people listen. They see your honesty. They feel your heart. The more you share, the more people gather around you. A community begins to form. People who believe in kindness, balance, and growth. People who want deeper relationships, not just surface-level interactions. You help them create spaces where they can be vulnerable, honest, and supported. The bonds that form in these spaces are real and lasting. Some people in your community start their own projects. They build businesses and programs that are focused on helping others, not just making money. You encourage them, support them, and celebrate their success. Your example inspires others to lead with compassion, integrity, and purpose. Eventually, your impact reaches farther. Leaders, organizations, and systems start to take notice. You're invited into conversations where real change can happen. You help shape decisions that support fairness, emotional intelligence, and well-being. Slowly, your influence helps shift how people think about leadership, success, and power. You begin writing and speaking, not to be remembered, but to make sure your message keeps going. You share your story, your lessons, your truth, so that others can learn from your journey. And even when you're no longer present, your voice continues to echo in the lives of those you've helped. What you leave behind is not just a reputation. It's a way of living, a way of being. You've shown that real power doesn't come from being loud or admired. It comes from living with balance, kindness, and pure intention. You've shown that the most lasting impact isn't in how many people follow you, but in how many lives you help transform by simply being yourself.
Have you ever wondered why you've always felt so different? Like you were never truly meant to fit in? It's not just in your head. That feeling you've carried for as long as you can remember. That quiet inner knowing. That deep fire that never goes out. It's real. It's not something you imagined. And it's not something you made up just to feel special. It's something you were born with. Maybe you couldn't explain it growing up, but it was always there. While others seemed perfectly at ease with the way things were, you sensed something was off, like you were living in a world that looked familiar on the outside, but felt foreign on the inside. Maybe you played along. Maybe you tried to blend in, to follow the same paths others were walking. You laughed when you were supposed to. You followed the rules. You did your best to fit the mold. But it never worked for long, did it? No matter how hard you tried to be like everyone else, something inside you refused to be silenced. That inner voice, that gut feeling, that restlessness, it kept coming back. It told you there was more. It told you that the way the world works isn't the only way. While other people are drawn to popularity, to status, to following the crowd, you've always been drawn to something deeper. You crave truth, meaning, connection. You want to understand why things are the way they are, not just accept them blindly. You want to feel life in your bones, not just go through the motions. And because of that, you've probably felt misunderstood, maybe even rejected. You might have been told you were too intense, too quiet, too emotional, too sensitive, too serious, too different. And for a while, you might have believed that. You might have tried to fix yourself to be more normal, but deep down, you've always known that you weren't broken. You were just not meant to follow a path that was never yours. This world has a way of trying to convince people that there's only one way to live. Get a job, fit in, follow trends. Don't ask too many questions. Stay inside the lines. But that way of living feels like a prison to you. It drains you. You've always wanted more. Not more things, but more meaning, more truth, more realness, more depth. And because you don't chase what most people chase, others often don't understand you. But their confusion doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you're rare. You feel more because you were meant to notice what others overlook. You dream bigger because your soul remembers something that goes beyond this world. You question more deeply because you weren't made to blindly accept. Your life is not supposed to look like everyone else's. That's why you've never been able to just settle, even when everything around you told you to. Your soul won't let you. You probably carry a lot of pain. Pain from being misunderstood, from feeling like no one sees the real you, from walking through life wondering where you truly belong. You may have felt invisible, left out, like you were always on the outside looking in. But what if that wasn't a mistake? What if all of that pain was actually part of your shaping? What if every struggle you faced was preparing you to become the person you were always meant to be? You've likely noticed that the more you try to follow the crowd, the more lost you feel. But the more you listen to your inner voice, even if it scares you, the more alive you feel. That's not random. That's not coincidence. That's truth. You're not here to copy anyone else's story. You're here to live your own. And your story is not going to look like theirs. It's going to be different. It has to be. Because you are different. You are here to feel deeply, even when it hurts. You are here to love wildly, even when it doesn't make sense. You are here to ask the hard questions, even when others are too afraid to. You are here to live fully, even when the world wants you to play small. You may have spent. But what if there's nothing wrong with you at all? What if the very things that make you feel out of place are the things that make you powerful? What if your sensitivity is actually your strength? What if your loneliness has been helping you learn how to be your own home? What if your questioning has been opening doors that others are too afraid to walk through? This journey you're on, it's not easy, and it's not supposed to be. People like you, people who feel more, dream more, care more, break more, rise more. Your path is not meant to be simple or smooth. It's meant to wake you up. It's meant to shake you. It's meant to burn away everything that isn't really you, so that what's left is something honest and whole and unstoppable. You may feel alone sometimes, but you're not. There are others like you, people quietly carrying the same fire, the same restlessness, the same hunger for something real. You might not have met them yet, but they exist, and your light will guide them, just like their light will guide you. So don't let the world convince you to dim who you are. Don't settle for a life that doesn't feel like your own. Don't pretend to be okay with things that make your soul ache. Don't shrink just to make others comfortable. The world doesn't need more people who look the same, think the same, and live the same. It needs people who are awake, people who are real, people who are willing to be different, even when it costs them everything. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are becoming. You are rising. You are remembering. Even on the days when you feel like you're falling apart, something deeper inside you is falling into place. Everything you've been through has meaning. Every heartbreak, every loss, every time you were rejected, every time you were overlooked, every moment you wanted to give up but didn't. All of it is part of your becoming. All of it is helping you grow into the version of you that was buried under fear, shame, and other people's expectations. You were not made to live in a box. You were not made to follow the script. You were made to write your own story. You were made to question, to feel, to wonder, to break rules that never made sense in the first place. You were made to live out loud, to love without limits, to walk through the fire and come out shining. You are not here by accident. You are here with purpose. And even when the path doesn't make sense, even when you feel completely lost, even when it hurts more than you think you can handle, keep going. Keep listening to that quiet voice inside. Keep trusting the part of you that knows. Because one day, everything that makes you feel different will make perfect sense. One day, you'll look back and realize that not fitting in was the best thing that ever happened to you. One day, you'll stand in your truth fully, unapologetically, and you'll see just how powerful you've always been. You don't need permission. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You don't need to be accepted by the world to be worthy of your own path. You just need to remember who you are and become it without fear. And when you do, everything will begin to change. Not because the world suddenly understands you, but because you will no longer need it to. You'll understand yourself, and that changes everything. There's something about you that people can't quite describe, but they feel it. Even if they can't explain why, they know you're not like the rest. They can sense it in the way you carry yourself, the way you think, the way your presence quietly shifts a room. You don't fully fit in, And the truth is, you were never meant to. But because of this, the world will often push against you. It will challenge you. It will try to shape you into something more familiar, more comfortable, more predictable. It will try to get you to doubt yourself, to question who you are, to let go of your real voice and your real purpose. But you can't let it succeed. The rejection you face isn't a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a sign that something very right is happening inside you. You're not going through these inner battles because you're weak. You're going through them because you're powerful. You're not struggling because you're lost. You're struggling because you've started to find yourself in a world that benefits from you staying confused. You're not being resisted because you're nothing. You're being resisted because you are something. Something bold. Something real. Something rare. The world doesn't waste its energy on things that don't matter. It doesn't fight against anything that doesn't have power. And that's why it's trying to break you. Because deep down, it knows that if you ever fully realize what you're capable of, if you ever decide to stand up and walk in your own truth, you will be unstoppable. And that terrifies the systems that were built to keep people small, quiet, and controlled. So every time you feel like you're under attack, remember that it's not happening because you're worthless. It's happening because you're valuable. You've been pushed into moments of silence, into times of isolation, into situations that made you wonder if maybe you should just tone yourself down, shrink yourself a little, make yourself easier to digest. But you weren't born to blend in. You weren't born to be a watered-down version of yourself. You weren't born to be a shadow in someone else's story. You were born to stand tall in your own truth, even if that truth makes other people uncomfortable, even if it means walking alone for a while, even if it means being misunderstood, and even if the world doesn't applaud you for it. Stop chasing acceptance from people who were never meant to see you. Stop trying to impress people who are too scared to live freely themselves. Some people won't understand your light, and that's not your fault. Your job was never to be understood by everyone. Your job is to be honest with yourself. Your job is to live in a way that feels real, not in a way that pleases the crowd. Let go of the need to be liked. Let go of the pressure to fit into a world that doesn't even feel right to you. You don't need to explain why you feel things deeply. You don't need to justify why your dreams don't look like everyone else's. You don't need to apologize for wanting more than just comfort. What you feel, what you're drawn to, what won't leave your mind. It's there for a reason. You don't have to see the full path to know you're meant to walk it. You just have to start. You just have to move. You just have to take the first step, even if your legs are shaking. There will be moments when you feel like giving up. Moments when the pressure becomes heavy and your doubts get loud. But that's exactly when you have to dig deeper. You're not at your limit. You're at your turning point. The world wants you to believe that you're not ready, that you're too flawed, that your timing is off. But the truth is, if you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll never move. If you wait to feel fearless, you'll stay stuck. You have to take action while you're still unsure. You have to believe in the possibility of your own becoming. You don't need the whole world to cheer you on. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to believe in yourself enough to take the next step. You need to trust that even if you fall, you'll rise again. You need to trust that even if you get off track, you'll find your way back. You need to remember that everything you've been through, every hard lesson, every moment of silence, every fight to keep going has shaped you into someone who is stronger, deeper, and more ready than ever. You've grown in ways you don't give yourself credit for. You've survived things you never thought you'd get through. You've had to rebuild yourself quietly in the dark, and nobody saw that. But you're still here. You're still rising. And that counts for something. That means something. That's power, even if the world doesn't see it yet. And if you've been feeling disconnected, lost, or unsure of your purpose lately, remember this. Your power doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from within, from that quiet space inside of you that knows what matters, from the part of you that refuses to give up, from the fire that flickers even when everything else goes dark. That fire is still there. It's still burning, and it's time to fan the flame. Don't waste any more time waiting for someone to discover you. Discover yourself. Don't keep playing small because someone else was too afraid to go big. Don't bury your gifts because others are uncomfortable with your brilliance. You don't need permission to show up as who you are. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need to have it all figured out to make a difference. You just need to keep going, keep learning, keep choosing yourself over and over again until it becomes second nature. This is not the end of your story. This is the part where everything begins to shift. This is the part where you stop questioning whether you matter and start living like you do. This is the part where you stop making excuses, stop holding back, and stop allowing fear to sit in the driver's seat of your life. You've waited long enough. You've doubted long enough. You've dimmed your light for long enough. Now it's time to step forward, to rise fully, to live loudly, not with arrogance, but with courage. You have a voice that needs to be heard. You have a story that someone else needs to hear. You have a presence that can shift things. You have ideas that can open doors. You have strength that no one can take away. You have already walked through so much. Don't let it be for nothing. Let every setback fuel you. Let every no make you more determined. Let every doubt turn into drive. The fire inside you is not random. The calling on your life is not a mistake. The vision you carry is not too big. You are not too much. You are exactly what this moment needs. And no matter who tried to convince you otherwise, it's not too late. You're not too far behind. You're not broken beyond repair. You are still becoming. You are still powerful. You are still enough. So stand up, show up, speak up. Let the world feel your presence, not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped hiding. You've been underestimated before, but that ends now. You've been overlooked before, but not anymore, because this time, you know who you are, and that changes everything.